Hey there, guys. How's it going? Welcome to the Pixelnuts programming stream. My name is Mark. I'm otherwise known as Fluffy here on Twitch. And yeah, we're going to do some programming today on our new game, Rocket Rumble. So if you guys don't know who I am or know anything about Pixelnuts, we're a small developer here in Ontario, Canada. We would be considered indie, I guess. And we've worked on a couple different games. We have a game called Lost Orbit, which is a single player, we like to call it a dodge 'em up, cool story-driven space game that's out on PS4, Switch, Xbox, and Steam. And we're working on a new game, which is kind of in a similar vein, but it's also a little bit of a mashup of like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. And some of our favorite party games. So the game is called Rocket Rumble. Oh, thank you for the squawk alert, Fringe. The game is called Rocket Rumble, and it is a online or local party racing brawler game. And yeah, I'll just show you guys a little bit about the game before we jump into this, just in case anybody here hasn't seen it. Bring myself up over here. Alright, so Rocket Rumble, you can see the logo here, and you can see a little bit about what the game's like. So it's a 4-player online or co-op racing brawler game. It's very similar to kind of like a mix between Mario Kart and Smash, like I was saying. We got these cute little animal characters in spacesuits that race around, and you can pick up different items, throw them at each other, all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, the game is actually already on Steam. You can actually go to Steam and wishlist it here, and pretty soon you'll be able to sign up for our open beta. Oh, and there I am at the top of the screen streaming on Steam. So yeah, we're going to be launching into early access in the summertime, but for now we have an open beta coming up, and we've been doing these streams basically on Fridays. We play the game a little bit and test out all of our new changes, and then during the week, Alex does some level design streams, you can see here, and I do programming streams once a week. We can just see the trailer here so you guys can get kind of an idea. Oh, why is the trailer thing always so busted on Steam? So you got the cute little corgi, and he drops down, and he gets built into a huge mech suit here. So these are the characters. They're all different fun little animal characters. We currently have 4, but we have lots more coming on the way as well. You can see we got the bird, and the kitty, and a little piggy guy here, and they're all getting ready to race. So the cool thing about this game is that it's a single screen racer. So, well, I'll show you that a little bit once we get into it, but you can see stuff like boosts here. The bird is flying through a boost here, and here he goes. He's throwing a bomb item. Boom, and there it is, Rocket Rumble. So yeah, we're super excited about this game, and we've been doing lots of live development and testing and things of that nature on Twitch. So yeah, basically right now, unfortunately, I'm waiting for Unity to load. Oh, it looks like it's actually done. That's awesome. So basically, if you haven't caught any of my previous streams, what I have been working on is we've been changing the game system. So initially what used to happen in the game is it would all be one-hit kills. So if you smash into an object, you would die instantly. If you get hit by an item from another player, like a projectile or something like that, you would die right away. But I've been working on a new system, and we're internally calling it Bumper Stars mode, because that's what the game used to be called. And basically what it is it's just a version of the game that we're hoping to turn into the main online version of the game, where players will now actually have a health system, and they'll be able to bounce off objects, and items that get thrown at them will have different effects on players. Like the bomb might blow them all up and they go flying, or the shell might make them spin out and stuff like that. So that's the stuff I've been working on. I've been working on the Bumper Stars mode. And I've got a lot of stuff done for getting the items up to snuff, and mostly what I have left to do there is just hook up stuff, which would be a little bit boring. So what I would like to do today is build just a simple system for diversifying collisions from track objects. So I'm going to open up a track here and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see. And we go into our scenes folder. If any of you guys know anything about Unity, you might recognize some of this stuff. And we've got all these different race tracks here. So the one I'm going to load up is a new track that Alex has been working on the stream called Processing Plants. So I'm going to open that up just to show you guys what I'm talking about here. Yum. So basically the idea behind Bumper Stars mode is just that we had a closed beta about a month and a bit back, and we were even thinking and talking about this internally before the closed beta, but one of the biggest problems with the gameplay is just that we designed the game with checkpoints, so all along the race you have checkpoints, and you get points based on who passes the checkpoint first, and everybody also respawns at the checkpoints. So we had one-hit deaths, and just had checkpoints so that the players would respawn often and be able to get back into the action. But even with that, the way we designed it like that, still a lot of the feedback and a lot of our thoughts about the game as well have just been that it's just not enough. So we want to bring in the health system to kind of alleviate that and make it more fun, keep players in the game longer, so that you're not sitting there going, when am I going to respawn? This is so annoying. So this is actually a checkpoint right here, you can see. What I was just talking about. But, so in this level, for example, let's see, can I turn off the gizmos here? Just to make it easier. I'm not sure how to turn off these, these are, there is a way. There must be a way. I'm just not sure. I just have to look through here to see. So basically, you can see this green stuff here. That's just denoting areas that Alex has marked to have different types of lighting. Is it this, maybe? No. It does have something to do with reflection probes and stuff, though. I don't know. It's not a huge deal if I can't shut it off. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's fine for now. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Alex if he shows up. But you can see in a level like this, we have lots of different obstacle types. So we got something like, you know, just a basic rock here. And we have different things like, you know, different pieces of the track too. But I'm not really talking about those right now. I'm just talking about specifically environmental hazards. You can see here it's a lot of rock as the initial hazards here. And then as we go into the factory area that Alex has been working on, we got all kinds of stuff that starts coming out. So we got, these are going to be like a robot arm saw blade type thing where you got to try to get through. So if the player bounces off this, currently they're going to act exactly the same as if they bounce off a rock. So I'm looking to change that basically. Or if you bounced off this thing here, I want to create a new offshoot script from my system so that anybody can come along here and they can click this object and say, well, okay, this one here I want it to act a bit differently. And then they can come here and they can drop the new script in and just tick the behaviors that they want. So, you know, or maybe you want this to instantly kill the player. Or these swamp guys here, they actually move up and down. They like crash into the ground, kind of like a thwomp from Mario. I'm just going to undo that change there. I don't want to save any changes. So maybe if the player runs into the front of this guy, you want the player to bounce off. But maybe if this guy comes down and lands right on top of the player, you actually want to kill the player in that case, because it's crushed them. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, is just a little extension script to my current reactions system to allow players, or allow my coworkers the ability to kind of tag objects how they see fit. And like these guys here. These two thwomps here are going to crash into the middle here, and if a player gets caught in that, you probably want them to get crushed. But if they're already crashed into the middle like this, and a player bounces off, like hits them head on, you probably don't want that to kill them. You'd want the player to bounce off. So we just want to allow that type of functionality, which is what we're going to be working on today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. In the other level, we have like crushers and a couple different obstacle types that we may want unique interactions on. And it could even be something as simple as, you know, if you hit a rock, you want a certain sound effect and a certain particle effect to play to make it look like you hit rock. Or if you hit metal, you want it to be different. You want there to be a clang, and you want there to be sparks coming off and stuff. So we just need to allow that functionality by creating a script to give us the ability to do that. And look at this little guy. This guy is my favorite thing Alex has ever made. He's just temp art, but Alex made him in like 5 minutes. I don't even think we should replace him. We should just keep him the way he is. He's so good. He looks so freaking mean. He looks so mean, but cute. He's cute bad. Just like in, if you guys watch me stream Darkest Dungeon and stuff, you'll know that I think that game is hilarious because all the enemies are like designed to be scary as fuck, but the art style also makes them kind of cute. So they're like cute scary, cute bad, and I think it's so funny. Yeah, you can see in this section too, Alex has all these obstacles that kind of move back and forth, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be like robotic. So I think in this level especially we'll want different things, like if a player runs into them, maybe some sparks fly, and maybe we even want the object itself to have some kind of unique reaction, like if you have lava or like electricity or water and you want there to be a unique reaction when the player falls on it, you know, maybe you want the lava to like, you want the shader on the lava to do something in that specific spot so it looks like a player hit it and it like cools down, or I don't know, or you want to play a particle effect shooting up out of the lava. So I just want to allow that type of thing, and that's kind of like the last piece of the puzzle for what I've been working on. And yeah, I'm hoping to have all this stuff in by the end of this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to have it ready to show in the gameplay demo tomorrow or not, but we'll see. Whoa! This is such a great level. So yeah, we're going to go back into our test scene that I created last time we were doing this. Where did I put it? Here we go. Bumper Stars Testing Ground. No, I don't want to save changes to Alex's scene, or else he might be mad at me. Okay, so last time we were here, I created this nice little test scene. I didn't actually create the track in this, it was already made. But I created a test scene so that we could more easily test our object scripts here. So we're going to do the same thing for obstacles. And we got a couple obstacles in this scene. You can see they're tagged player death here. And yeah, basically because of the way everything works, we're going to need a separate dummy object to act as an obstacle, but since we have some obstacles in here, we can just use what we already got. So we're going to open up my main script here. Oh my god, our project has gotten so big that for me to go through it is just brutal. Okay, so we have our test object and test item script that we created last time. So maybe I can use this, but I may need to actually make something specific for testing the obstacles. So we could just make another script for that, but I'm just going to take a look at this and see if we could use it or not. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a test object, mono behavior. Yeah, so we're going to do something a little bit different here for this. Collider, mesh render. But we can do something very similar anyway, so it's fine. Okay. So we have my player health system, and that's the main script I've been working in here. And what we have in the player health system is we have a separate script that is going to need to be expanded. That's just called handle obstacle collision. So I'm going to make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. And since we're working in here, I'm going to move this over here so it's not on the same side as my face. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, basically what I did up here last time we were together is I expanded this handle item hit to basically be able to take in data from any type of item that hits the player and do a myriad of different things. So we want to do the same thing for our handle obstacle collision script here. So what do we have so far? Let's see. So far we have a coroutine that starts, and as I said last time, a coroutine is basically just a function that has a timer built in. So it's a handler for our player collider. So while it's running, it says it runs the damage player and boop player scripts. And if we look down here, we can find those two. So we got the boop player, and this is specifically what we use for obstacles. So this is just going to be one of the scripts that we use, or one of the functions that we use now to control obstacle collisions. Because we're going to definitely want to bring in some new information here depending on what you hit. If you get hit by a metal object, we want like a nice tangy metal sound and some sparks to play. If you get hit by rock, we want it to break off rock chunks and stuff like that. And then we have the damage player script. That doesn't really need to be touched at all because all that does is damage the player. Hey, Mystic, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I just figured I'd post in my thing even though it's not like officially one of my streams, but it's a work stream. Going good? Nice. And what are you up to today? Playing anything or doing anything fun? So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these few things that I have in between my boop player script and my handle obstacle collision. I'm just going to move them down here. Just so that they're out of my way, so I don't have to keep scrolling past them all the time. So I guess I'll put them below damage player, I think. You can have functions anywhere. It doesn't matter what order they're in. Like a function like this, it doesn't matter at all what order the two like go in. Because a function is something that's called separately from another place. So the only time order matters is within a function. So in this damage player function, I can't take this. If hit points are less than or equal to 0, then return. I can't put this at the bottom, because this needs to run first, because it's checking if the player is already dead, and if they are already dead, then it's not going to run this function. So if I put it at the bottom, then it'll do this stuff here before it does that check. So that's where within functions is where order matters, but outside of them, you can have your functions in any order you want, really. Just relaxing? Nice, nice. That sounds good. I'm relaxing too, kind of. I find this kind of stuff relaxing, so. By the way, how does my new camera look? I got my new Razer Kio camera that Chris bought me for my birthday. You guys gotta tell me if it looks good or not. It's probably like super... You can see every single imperfection on my face. Looks very clear, that's good. I just hope, as long as it looks better than what I had before, I don't really care. It looks good too. I'm watching it over here on the other screen. Sweet. Okay, so yeah. Also, this handle bash collision, I thought that I would originally use this, but we're just going to get rid of that for now. because it's just an unused function that's kind of cluttering stuff up here. You just realized that my background's blue instead of black? That's funny. Oh yeah, my background's all fucked up right now too. Get over there. You stupid thing. Yeah, it's always been blue. I don't have a nice black curtain, or else I probably would have used it, but... Okay, so, we got our handle obstacle collision function here, and this is what we're going to work on. Actually, we won't do this yet. What's really cool, these are called comments, right? So if you put a double dash, then you can write anything, and it won't affect your code. So you can, like, tell anybody else that's looking at your script, you can write comments so that they can come through here and see exactly what it is that you're doing. But you can do this cool thing where you do a triple comment, and this is an XML comment. So any arguments that you have in your function call here will actually appear here, and you can tell it what those things will do, and then when you hover over that in the function, you can see that it actually has that stuff that I just typed in there. Hold on a sec, my stream's lagging, isn't it? I need to fix that if I can. Okay, I got my display capture. Okay, I think I just fixed it. There was still... Here, I need to delete something out of here too. I don't know why it was lagging so bad. This is stupid. Hopefully it's fixed now. Okay, so... Yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool, the XML comment thing. But you gotta wait until you're, like, done your function to do it properly, really. Okay, so we basically want to do a similar thing here to what we did to the item function. And the easiest way to do that is to come up and look at our item function and see exactly what it is that we did. So, let's see, we did public void. So we brought in a direction, a force, a damage value, and we have an enum. So we're going to need to create an enum for what we're doing here as well. I think that will be the best way to do this. Although we may have objects that we wouldn't have an enum entry for, so maybe we shouldn't do it that way. Well, we can create a simplistic one anyway. So we're going to create a new enum, and we're going to call it obstacle. As long as there isn't an enum called that already. Let's just double check. We could check that because it'll have an error if there is. So it looks like there isn't. So obstacle is going to be fine. And we're going to make a couple just simple entries for this to start. So we're going to make the first entry is going to be asteroid. And then we can do machinery. Or maybe we'll make them, actually, let's make them simpler than that. Let's say rock instead of asteroid. And then we'll say metal instead of machinery. And... Hey, Chris, Mystic, can you tell me if my stream's lagging? To me, it looks like it's lagging really bad, but it might just be on my computer. Am I, like, really choppy or anything that you've noticed? Just let me know if it gets like that so I can see if there's something else I can do to possibly fix it. It seems really bad to me, but it might just be because I'm trying to, like, watch it at the same time. I don't know. Do I have anything open? Not really. Oh, well, I have Rocket Rumble open over here still. Let's close that at least. That might help. What else do I have open? Epic Games Launcher? Get out of here. Anything else I can close? Not really. Yeah, everything else got to stay open. You haven't seen any choppiness? Okay, sweet. So it must just be on my end. Okay, so let's see. What other kind of obstacles might we have? I mean, this could be our basic, like, the type of obstacle it is, and then we could differentiate stuff even further. So, like, this would be a stationary rock, stationary metal. Maybe we could also do... Oh, wait, no, I know what we can do. Okay, so we're going to create 2 enums here. So we're going to have a second enum called... state, obstacle, state. Oh, yes, it needs to be the same word. So if we make something called obstacle state here, then what we could do is we could have entries like static for stationary and moving for motion, or you know, and we can add more to these as well. So then we can have like rock, metal, we could do lava, water, what else? Crusher. We'll do that for the Rocket Roy, or not Rocket Roy, the Bullet Bill type dudes. We'll call those guys crushers. And we'll just add them as we think of new things. But let's see, we just went through that level. We had like moving objects, we had stationary objects, we had lots of metal and robotic guys, and we had some lava, and we had some rocks, and we had some crushers. So that should probably be good just to start, just as a basic thing. So basically what we did up here with our items was we said we had we had a function here called choose item type. So we're going to do the same thing. We're basically just going to copy this and we're going to change it a little bit around, but we need to go back down to our handle obstacle collision. So we're going to have a function that checks what type of obstacle it is that we're colliding with here. So we're going to call it choose obstacle type. And we're going to have a switch statement that asks what kind of obstacle it is. And in order to do that, we're going to need to bring in that information. So we're going to bring that in here. So we brought in the collision information already. And the next thing we need to bring in is our enum, which we called obstacle. And we'll call it obs type. And we also need to bring in our secondary enum, which we called obstacle state. And we'll call that obs state. With a lowercase o mark. Come on now. Okay, so we definitely are going to need those 2 pieces of information for sure. And like I was talking about last time, we can set defaults for those. So we'll say the default for that is always going to be a rock, because that's the most common obstacle type that we run into. And the default for the state is going to be static. Oh, whoops. Oh no, sorry, it needs to be obstacle state, not obstacle. Onstacle? And we're going to say static as the default for that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something similar to what we did with the items, but we're going to get rid of all this shit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a switch statement within a switch statement. So we are going to check whether an item... We're going to check the obstacle state. Wait, what would be the better way to do this? Actually, no, we should do it the other way around. So we're going to check what type of obstacle is hitting the player. So we're going to do obstacle type for our switch statement. And we're going to get rid of these. And we're going to break out our cases here. So we're going to say case obstacle.rock. And that will be our first switch statement thing here. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to do a switch inside of a switch. So, but we can do that in a minute here. Let's break out our other cases first. Well, obstacle dot metal. breakout case obstacle dot lava, and breakout, and then obstacle dot water, I guess, was one of the ones that we put, and breakout of that, and then obstacle crushers, the crushinator, and we're going to break out of that. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a switch inside of a switch here to check what state the object is in. And we're going to try to do that in a simple way, so we're just going to pass it back. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to have another function inside of here that calls that. I think I just have to think about that for a second, but I'm pretty sure. So we're checking the state type, and we're checking it. So if it's a moving rock, we want it to do one thing. If it's a stationary rock, we want it to do another thing. And we could even get like right down into the nitty gritty, and we could like check how fast the rock is moving or different things like that too. But I don't really think that that's necessary at all. But basically what we want to do is, you know, we have stuff like the crusher obstacle in the game, where if you guys have played Asteroid Field, the track, there's a spot where there's these metal crushers that are on like a zip line, and they just crush back and forth. And they used to kill the player, but now they get knocked off the player. So we want to do something different with those rather than just have them knock you in a certain direction. Or we might want to. We don't necessarily have to, but we might want to. So we're creating the opportunity for that to happen, and then we're going to create a script that you'll be able to put on any of the obstacles in the game to tell it what you want it to do. And there is one other thing that I just thought of that we're going to want for the obstacle type, and we're going to call it insta-kill, and it's just going to be an object type that you throw that on an object, you tag it as insta-kill, and it will kill the player instead of doing anything else. So it won't knock the player off, it won't do anything, it'll just kill them. So we're going to call our choose obstacle type function up in here where we had boop player. And I guess we're not going to necessarily want all of them to damage the player either, really. But we can handle that separately, though, because I forgot. We'll be passing in a damage value. So if we want something that actually doesn't damage the player, we can pass in a 0 here, and it'll be fine. So we're going to need to bring in that information as well. So we're going to do int. I believe it's an int. Yes, it's an int. We're just going to call that damage, DMG, and we're going to have that default to 1, and then we're going to pass it in here. So now when we call this handle obstacle collision from whatever object has hit the player, we'll be able to pass in a different damage value depending on how much we want it to damage the player. Maybe we don't want it to damage at all. And what we can do here is we can check if Chris just brought me a special treat. Well, I guess she bought and brought me a special treat. Thank you, honey. It's a peanut butter cup. I love Reese's. It's my favorite chocolate, basically. So what we can do What? I didn't mean to build. No, I don't want to run and build. I must have pressed the wrong button. Yummy, yummy. That's right. I hope that this is like even marginally interesting for you, Mystic. I don't really know if it is, but I try to make it like not too complicated, but you'll have to, you know, if there's anything you don't understand, you can feel free to ask and I will explain it. That's the whole point of the stream, so. Okay, so what we can do right here in the damage function is we want to check right away if this is going to kill the player, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have an if statement that says if obstacle, wait, what do we call it? Obs type. So if obs type, no, not obstacle, you stupid. So if the type of the obstacle is equal to obstacle dot insta-kill, which is the thing that we just made, then we don't really want to do exactly what we're already doing in this function. So, and then we're going to have an else, which basically just means if it's not insta-kill, then you can do all the rest of this stuff here. What do we need here? Yes, I think we'll wrap it like this. So basically what we're going to do here is we're saying if the obstacle is set to insta-kill the player, then we're going to run the damage player function, but we're going to set the damage to the player's max HP so that it will just instantly kill the player. And let's see. So what does the damage function do here? It takes in a number for damage, and it says if the player's hit points are less than or equal to 0, then don't run this function because that means they're already dead. So if it's above that, then their hit points is their hit points is equal to hit points minus the damage that we brought in. And then we're checking if their hit points are, after we've done this, this minus equals is just a shorthand way of writing this. Hit points is equal to hit points minus damage. So it's saying we want hit points to be equal to itself minus the damage value that we're bringing into this function. So that's just a shorthand way of writing that. So we want to make sure that we do enough damage here. They didn't have any funfetti creamer at the store. We want to make sure that we pass in enough damage to this function if the object is an insta-kill object to just kill the player outright. So what's happening is it's negativing the damage from their hit points, minusing. And it's saying if their hit points are now 0 after we've done this, then kill the player. So what we have to do is we need a reference to the player, and we need to grab their max hit points. So what did we do for that here? Oh, so we have a reference to the player controller, so that's all we need. So we're going to say damage player, and we're going to grab the maximum hit points that a player can have. So controller.stats. Oh, wait, no, it's not in that. Wait, oh, no, it's actually in this function, isn't it? Yeah, we have a max hit points right in here, so let's just use that. So instead of using that, we're just going to say max hit points. So by doing this, we're passing in the maximum amount of hit points they can have. So even if they have full health and the object is set to insta-kill, it will kill them. Okay. And if it's not sent to insta-kill, then we're going to damage it for the passed in damage value. And then we're going to run our choose obstacle type function, and we're going to get rid of this boop player because that's going to be located in here. Just make sure everything's correct here. Yeah, so yeah, it looks good. So now, if the object is not insta-killing us, then we're going to damage them for the damage value, which could be 0, or it could be, you know, as much as you want. Yield return wait for the fixed update. Choose obstacle type, and then wait for the amount of cooldown between item hits. So obstacle type here. If you get hit by a rock, we want you to We want the player to get booped off, for sure, we know that. And that's just kind of a generic one. Like, we're going to want that for every item, probably, for the most part. Not, I guess not necessarily. No, for every item, I think. So now it's telling us that we have an error, because we're missing something here. The name collision does not exist in the current context. Oh, right. Okay. So because these functions are nested inside of this larger function, we actually don't need this stuff here. So we had a thing here that said we're passing in a collision, but we don't need that, because we already have the collision passed in here, and because these functions are nested, they get access to that. So we just need to pass it in here. Collision. And that'll give us our collision data. So there are several different ways we could do this, but since we're basically going to want everything to boop the player, what we could do is figure out what data we want the boop player function to take in, and then after the switch statement, after we've decided what we want, we could just run the boop player function and feed that data in. And I'll show you what that would look like. So basically what we're going to do is at the beginning of this choose obstacle type function, we're going to say whatever data type we want. So the collision's always going to be the same, but we may want to change that. We may want to change it to direction and stuff like that. But let's say we wanted an int, or we wanted a float force, which is definitely something we're going to want, and we have it defaulted to, I don't know, 50. Well, then what we can do... Oh, I don't need a thing there. What we can do, instead of passing this boop player function into every single one of these, and passing in a different force depending on what object type it is, what we can do is we could come up here and we can create a float locally within this function and call it temp force. And we can make it equal to 50, let's say. And that'll, because that's our default. Or no, I guess we'll make it equal to 0 because that's our default. Oh, oink, oink. Peppa Pig. And then what we can do is we'll say, okay, well, if it's the rock that we're running into, then maybe we want the force to be equal to 100. And if it's the metal that we want it, not force area manager, I want a temp force. So basically we're creating this temporary float value here, and we're saying, okay, maybe we want it to be equal to that. And if it's metal, maybe we want temp force to be equal to only 10. Not 120, 10. So we can bake a different value for each one of these, and then we call this boop player function, and we pass in that value. Temp force. So that way we don't have to take this and duplicate it to every single line. But what we have to be careful of is that we need to make sure that each and every one of these is going to use the boop player function in one form or another. And there is a possibility that that's not true, because if you hit water, we don't really want to boop the player off of water. We want them to fall into the water. We just want an effect to play and stuff. So there's two ways that we could deal with that. You love that the function is boop player. Yeah, you should have seen some of my other function names. I had a function called Bomba Boop and stuff like that. You can name it like literally anything you want. So I always just like to name them stupid shit. So this is where we run into the problem where, you know, if it's water that you're hitting, I don't know if we want water to, I don't know if we want a boop on the water, but what we can do is we can make it so that this boop player function can take in a force of 0, and then it just won't boop the player. Or we could not run it for everything. We could duplicate it into these here and add the data that we want. But I think since most things we're going to want to boop the player, we're probably going to want to do it the first way I said. So basically we need to differentiate this function here and let the player pass in all the different data that they might want to do. Like this here, controller.audiosource.play one shot with pitch shift. This is playing a sound effect for when you hit something. So we want this to be different no matter what item you're going to hit, right? So what are we going to do here? We're going to say we need a unique audio clip for that. So we're going to say audio clip. Whoa, that's not how you spell audio, Fluffy. Come on. So we're going to pass in an audio clip, and we're not going to necessarily have a default one for this, but we could make it this. Can we actually? We might not be able to. No, yeah, we can't. Okay, so we're not going to have a default for the audio clip, so we're going to need to put that before any ones that have a default value, so they need to be at the beginning of the argument list here. So now we have an audio clip in here, and instead of calling controller.checkHitClip, we're just gonna call this so that we can pass in whatever we want for the audio to play. And then what we can do is, just like we did with float force, we can create an audio clip and call it temp clip again. Make it equal to null as the default so that there will not be one. And then what we can do is come in here and we can say if clip is not equal to, well, actually we don't even need to do that, but basically we're just saying if the clip exists. So if the clip does not exist, or if it's equal to null, then we don't want to do this. Oh, right, so it needs to be the opposite of this. So if clip is not equal to null, then play the clip. And then see, it's telling us now that we need to pass that in. So we're going to pass in our temp clip. And there we go. Now we're looking good. And now what we can do is come in here and say, well, if you hit the rock, I want my temp audio clip to be equal to controller.checkHitClip. And see, this is what we can do. We can go about it this way instead of the way that we did with the item. So this is basically just like another option of how you can do this, how you can set this stuff up. Oops. And this is probably a cleaner way of doing it. Now, what's next? We have current hit force is equal to max, or hit force max minus hit force mod times hit points. So we want to make this controllable too, to just our force value here. What did we do for the item one up here? Let's go take a peek. So for the item one, we did float final force is equal to force minus force mod times hit point. Right. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing down here. Current hit force. So just like we did with the item, we're going to create a local force here. So we're going to say float final force, and we're going to make that equal to the force that we bring in here minus itself times hit points. Okay, guys, just give me 1 sec. I just need to grab something, so let's see. How do I do it? I just have to figure out. I'm on a different channel, so I have to figure out how to run a. Oh, I guess it won't let me? Hmm. Ah, I see. I can't actually, so that's fine. But I'll be right back, guys. I just need to grab something. I was just gonna run a commercial break, but it won't let me anyway. So I'm really sorry, guys. I will be right back in just a second. Sorry about that, guys. I am back. Ha, Fringe, you want to come sit in my chair? How dare you? You wouldn't dare. Thanks, Mystic. I appreciate it. Okay, so what are we doing here? Oh, right. So we got our force now. So basically, we're just making all this stuff generic. So the next thing we got here is that we're taking the rigid body velocity, we're adding force to it, and this is the force that we're adding to it. We're taking the collision data and saying the normal of the collision contact times current hit force. Oh, actually, we want to make it times final force now, which is the thing that we just created here. And we're doing force mode dot velocity change. But actually, we should pass in maybe this, because there are different ones that you can do. You can do like force mode dot explosive force, I think. I thought you could. Acceleration, impulse. Add an instant force impulse to the rigid body using its mass. Velocity change. I thought there was a way of adding Acceleration. I thought there was a way of adding an explosive force, but maybe that's something else. Anyway. You would dare for so much bits, or for much bits. So, this is fine. We already got our final force in here, so that's fine. It's already doing what we want. Then this is the next thing. This is for the player animation controller. So we're checking what direction you're being hit from, and then we're playing the appropriate animation. So we need to change this as well, these calls here. So what do we do for the item? Item reaction animations we did. Okay, so it's a little bit different here because we're checking what direction you're being hit from. So, player animation controller.item reaction animations. So we're going to need to check, when we do this, we're going to need to check if we want it to be directional or not. But we can just leave this as is for now, and we can add that in later once we get different animations for it and stuff. But we're saying we're doing the item check. What other items do we have in here? Enlarge, lasso, projectile, rocket roy, shield, and shockwave. So we can leave it as check for now. And we're doing a hit reaction to it. And we'll leave that as it is for now, but I can change that later, like I said. And then we got the visual effect. So FX trigger hit is equal to instantiate a new visual effect, but we want to change this as well for sure. So this is the effect right here, controller.check. So this is what we want to change, and we need to make that, what is that? That is an FX trigger. So we need to pass in a new FX trigger here as well. So FX trigger, and we'll just call it FX. And then instead of passing in controller.check, we're just going to pass in FX here, and we're going to pass in FX here, and we're going to pass in FX here, and that should be good. And then, like we did with the other things, we're going to come up here, and we're going to create an FX trigger, and call it temp FX. And we're also going to make this one equal to null by default, just in case. And then, again, we're going to go down here to the FX trigger, and we're going to say if FX is not equal to null, then do all this stuff. So if there's no effect, then don't do it, basically. And that should be good. And so then we need to pass in the effect. So right now we're going to pass in, or wait, we're going to pass in temp FX again. There we go. Now we don't have our error anymore. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say if we're hitting a rock, then the temp effect is equal to controller.check. And like I said, eventually we'll change that to be an effect of like rock bits going flying when you hit the rocks, or, you know, sparks if you hit the metal. But we need the artist to actually create those effects. So, but what we could do is we could go over to our, we could create these effects now on our player, but I actually kind of forget how they work, so I need to take a peek in Unity for a second, and we'll just wait for that to load. Actually, we'll save this, and we'll tab back into Unity so that it can import all that stuff, and then we'll continue looking at this for a second until that's done, because that's annoying. It takes forever. So now we want stuff other than to just boot the player, like we were talking about. So I think what we want to do is, because there are so many different things in this boot player function, I think we want to break this out into separate functions, because if you come up here to, we have an item boot function that does a lot of the same stuff. So I think what we should do is we should break this stuff. We should either try to combine these functions somehow, but the easier way would be to break some of these things into separate functions. So we could have like an animation function that plays the animation. We could have an audio function that plays the sound effect, or we could do those both. We could do the audio, the animation, and the visual effect all in one new function, and then we can just call it here so that we don't have to fuck around with this stuff, basically. So I think we'll work on that right now. So it's going to have to be outside the scope of this area so that we can use it in any of our functions. So we're going to create a new function. We're going to call it void visual. We're going to call it void visual fun times. And this is going to be our new function that's going to do all this stuff. So we're going to pass in, we're going to bring our effect, or play the FX out of here, and we're going to put it in here. And we're going to bring our audio clip, and we're going to bring it out of that function. We're going to pass it in here. And we're going to bring our animation stuff, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to play that right here in this new function. And because we've done that now, what we can do is we can take these, we can probably take the clip and the FX and eventually the animation out of this function call and put them in here. So right now we're just going to grab these two things and place them in here. And now we can call this from anywhere. So we have two different spots where we need to do basically these same things. And we can see here that we have a little error. We need the information about collision.contacts.normal.y, whether or not it's greater than 0. So we're going to need to pass that information into our new function. So what we can do is we can make a bool, and we'll call it right. So basically that's saying we'll have a bool, and if it's true, that means that we want the right-hand side of the animation to play, and if it's false, we want the left-hand side of the animation to play. That's a pretty simple way of doing that. And then what we can do is we can get rid of this collision.contacts.normal blah blah blah, and we can just pass in right. Actually, yes, we can get rid of this entirely. And because we see here in our player animation controller, we have a thing that says true here, and basically what it is that's already checking if we want to play the right or left version, so we can just pass in that thing that we just made. And then we only have to have one animation call, or one line for the animation call here. But we are going to need to know whether or not the animation that we're playing has a right and a left, because some of them actually don't. So we are going to need to expand this a little bit in a different way, though, not the way that I'm just talking about. So we're going to need to say... See, this is why maybe we should break the animation off into its own thing, because we're going to be passing in a lot of stuff, but that's okay. So we need another bool, and we'll call it directional, and that will tell us whether or not we need an animation call that has different directions. And so if this is false, we're going to set the default of this to false, so that it's just a single animation call by default. And we can actually set a default for this one too. We'll set the default to right for true. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say if directional, then we're going to do this animation call that has a direction to it. Wah! The squawk. And then if it's not directional, we're going to do a non-directional animation call, which we have done up here. Player animation controller.item reaction animations item and reaction. So we're just going to play that here. And same as our thing above here, we're going to need even some more stuff in here. This is why we should maybe do the animation as its own separate thing. It's fine, though. We need lots of different information, so it's okay. So we're going to need this item and this reaction. Oh, but we have an item thing here, too, so maybe we should do that. But for now, we'll just do it this way. So normally in item boop here, we're passing in an item and an item reaction. So we're going to grab those. And we're going to pass them in here. Yeah, we are going to break this off into its own thing. So we're going to make... So this function will just be for the visual effect and the sound. So we're going to make void play animation. So we're going to have all that same stuff that we had in here. And we're going to pass in item and reaction. And we're going to grab all of these things here that are related just to the animation stuff. And we're going to take those out of our visual fun times function call, and we're going to put them all in here. So now we can call this separately. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, so now when you call this function and you pass in all this information, it will check if it's a directional animation. If it is, it'll pass in the direction. And if not, it won't pass it in. Hey, Drop Bear, how's it going? How's your day so far? Or did you just wake up? It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Now, these two, I believe, can stay in here without any much problem. Going all right? It's 9:46 a.m. My goodness. Well, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Just doing some programming, obviously. Hi, Sir Drop of the Bears TV. Well, you gotta change your Twitch name now, Drop Bear. It's gotta be Sir Drop of the Bears TV. So anyway, now we have these two nice functions here to do what we were doing in our boop player function, so we can actually call them. I'm picturing Masha and the bear now. So we don't need this audio clip and FX trigger in here anymore. We just need the collision and the force for our boop player. And these are all be separate functions that we can play now. All three of these. So we're going to play them here. We don't need our temp clip and temp effects anymore. We just need our collision and our force. And then we're going to do visual fun times. We're going to call visual fun times. You thought you'd drop by. Ha 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 ha. Hey, Drop, you got to tell me what you think of my new camera. Look at how good. Now you can see every single imperfection and every wrinkle in my face. Fringe bought me this beautiful camera for my birthday, so I'm super excited about it. This is the first time I'm getting to use it. So yes, we're going to call our visual fun times function, and what do we need to pass into that? We need to pass in our audio clip and our FX triggers. So that'll be temp clip and temp FX. Okay, good to go. said the same thing, or wait, said the same about 1080p when it came out, and we will say the same when 8K is available. The other camera couldn't handle the handsomeness. Wow, thank you, Fringe. I think you're the only one that thinks that, though. Yeah, that we can see every detail, yeah. Yeah, when I got a 4K TV, well, yeah, even, honestly, even when I got a 1080p TV, I remember me and my dad sitting there in front of the TV and being like, whoa, I can see everything. I can see her individual eyebrows. And now I look at a 1080p TV and I'm like, oh, that's fucking trash. This is trash. Can't see anything. It's so blurry. What a piece of garbage. And then when I got my 4K TV, the same thing. Oh my god, yeah, DVD is such shit quality, but at the time it seemed amazing compared to VHS and stuff like that, for sure. 4K is good quality, though. Arguably, I don't think we even need more than 4K. My 4K TV is like 55 or 60 inches. I think it's 60 inch. And the pixels are so fucking small that I can't even see them when I'm standing directly against it. So, like, I don't know why we need any smaller pixels than that, to be honest with you. Like, that's extreme. And if you have a 32-inch 4K computer monitor, forget it. You might as well not even have pixels. Like, there's no aliasing on that thing. 4K for such a small size monitor like that? I just don't know why you would ever need anything other than a 4K computer monitor, to be honest. I really think that it's at the point where there's no visual improvement that the human eye can detect from going to like 4K to 8K on like a 27 or 32-inch monitor. I still have a 1080p 27-inch monitor and I can barely see the pixels on it. I mean, I can, but, you know. Okay, and we gotta do our play animation function as well. So we're gonna bring that up here and call it. And what data do we need to bring into that? Well, I actually don't need to bring any data into that because it's all defaulted. So we don't initially need any data for that. So now we got our 3 nice little functions here that we can call anywhere we want. And basically what we're doing in our switch statement here is we are setting all those things for each type of obstacle, and then calling the functions below to do what we want the obstacles to do. You laughing at me? What did you clip?
I can see her individual eyebrows.
Okay. Now that Fringe has thoroughly distracted me. Okay, so what are we doing now? We're saying to kill the player instantly if it's an insta-kill object, and if it's not, we're damaging the player for the damage value, and we're choosing our obstacle type, which is running this function here, which is creating unique force, clip, FX, and animation for each of our things, and then we're coming in here and we're setting each of our individual things for each obstacle type, and then we're running our functions. So that's good to go. But now we might want to do something a little more interesting, right? Like, if the player falls into lava, we want it to insta-kill them, I think. But we want to play like a unique visual effect for that or something, which is fine. But we might want to do something a little bit different. So if the player gets hit by a crusher, they're going to be insta-killed. Maybe we want to play an animation where they just flatten. onto the ground, and they're there for a few seconds before they actually die. We don't want to just like kill them immediately. There's a possibility that we might not want to just blow them up immediately. Or if they hit lava, maybe we want them to bounce off the lava. Like if you guys have ever played Mario 64, when he hits lava, he bounces up and he grabs his ass, and there's like smoke coming off his ass, and he's like, "Wah!" and then like falls down. Maybe we want to do something like that, where they hit the lava and they like blow up off of it, and smoke is coming off their butt, and then they like explode in midair or something. I don't know. Like maybe we want to do something like that. So maybe we don't want to insta-kill them. Maybe we don't want to tag certain things as insta-kill. Like we have our insta-kill tag for things that we may want to just instantly blow them up. But for things like, for obstacle types like the Crusher or Lava, we may want to do something different and then kill them. So we need to create the ability to do that. So I guess what we should do is create a delayed death function. Trying to think of the easiest way to go about doing that, but I think creating a delayed death function would probably be the ideal way of doing it. Like, they get tagged as dead instantly, so that the camera stops following them, but they don't blow up. Something along those lines. And then we could have unique animations for that. So we basically have everything in place to do it, I believe, but we do need some kind of delayed death function. So we'll create a separate function for that. We'll call it void delay death. This could be a little bit tricky to do because there's a lot of different systems in the game. So I'm not exactly sure whether we should kill the player and then try to play an animation on them after, which might be a little bit tricky considering the way that the game works. Maybe what we should do is we could insta-kill the player the way that it already works, like they play their explosion effect, and then we make a duplicate of the player to play that, because I'm thinking what would happen is, like, if you hit the lava and then you go flying off it with your ass burning, and you die in midair, what if the other players cross a checkpoint while that's happening? So we would want the player to actually be functionally dead, and we could create a duplicate of the player that only exists while the player doesn't exist while they're dead. So here, we'll pull out the trusty old notepad to figure this one out, I think. So basically what we're talking about here is, let's see if we get an S lava color here. We got some boobly old lava here, and some of the bubbles are popping, you know, and there's some like lava particles. And we got our player. We'll do our kitty for this one. Oh, he's beautiful. Look at his cute little spacesuit. It's perfect. And we got his little kitty mouth. His little whiskers. Oh my god, look at that. Look at those whiskers. So we got our little kitty, and he's going to fall down into the lava. And he will impact the lava right about here. And what will happen at this point is that the player will functionally die, and his current model will be destroyed. So this model here. Oh, meow. We got the kitties. Thank you for the sound alert, Angie. How's it going? So the player will functionally die at this point right here. And this current model, which is the gameplay model, will disappear. But what we could do at that point is, stay with me here, guys. We could duplicate that motherfucker. Just like that. And this duplicated guy... Oh, yeah, look at that beautiful shit. I hate when that happens, goddamn. And our duplicated guy would appear here for the first time. We'd create him, and he's a duplicate, and he would go flying. up in the air with... Oh, we gotta get rid of my selection. With some smoke billowing from his bum-bum. So we'll do a different color for our duplicate. So this is our imposter player here. He's a sneaky little imposter. So our imposter player is going to be duplicated. He's going to go flying like this. And what will happen is that as the... Whoop, I need a different color. Say we got the track back here, right? And as the other players are traveling along the track, let's say that there is a checkpoint right here. So while this guy falls off, hits the lava, and dies, and his duplicate comes flying up out of the lava like this. And what if we have the dog here? We got our puppy power. And he's just barreling across the track like a little bum. And what if he hits this checkpoint? We're going to need our cat. So what we're going to need is we're going to need our original cat here to spawn back over here. But this is our duplicate cat, so that's fine. We can just spawn the new player here, but it's going to look pretty retarded. I mean, excuse me. It's going to look pretty stupid if it's going to look pretty stupid if this cat is still existing at the same time as this cat. So this cat is going to have a check on him to make sure that as the finish line is crossed and this guy respawns, this guy just explodes in the air, basically. Oh, hi, Logan. You're eating an avocado. Man, I can't believe you like avocados. That's awesome. I didn't think that little kids liked avocados. How's your day going, Logan? I hope you're having a good day with your dad. Both of them love avocados, eh? Wow. I don't know if our kids like avocados. Do they?
What?
Do like Tristan and Nova like avocados?
No.
No? Yeah,
No,
I
they're
didn't
too
think
much.
so. They don't like them because they're mushy. He says, uh-huh. That's nice. So basically, we just want to make sure that our duplicate player here is destroyed. And we may not even want to do this, but I just think it's kind of fun. Like, I just want to add in the delayed death function so that if somebody wants to animate this, we can do it, basically. And it's not going to take much to add in the delayed death function to do this. Because basically how it's going to work is the original player... We'll bring him back over here. The original player is going to fall and die the way he already does. There doesn't need to be any additional code there. And then the duplicate death function is just going to spawn a new version of the player. Like, it's just going to instantiate a copy or pull from the object pool or whatever. And then if somebody wants to animate the flying up out of the lava animation, then they can do that. And the duplicated player here will just do the animation, and then it will get killed as soon as the other player appears. And then we could do that with other things too. Like I was saying, if we have if we have our rock crusher dudes, whatever Alex called them, I can't remember. So if we have our rock crusher dudes, and we basically want them to insta-kill the player only if the bottom of them lands on. Now, we've already added the functionality for that. We can just create a... I already added the functionality before that a little bit earlier. So what we can do is somebody can just come in, and to the bottom of these guys, they can add a new collider, and they can tag it with the insta-death that we already added in here. So if we go back to our code, we created that insta-death obstacle type, so it checks and it says if the obstacle is an insta-kill obstacle, then it'll just kill the damage the player for its maximum hit points at that point. So it'll kill the player right away. So anyway, if Mr. Kitty Cat here, this guy right here, if he is flying along like this, and then Mr. Thwomp comes down and crushes him, it's going to kill him right away. But maybe what we want to happen is as he gets hit by the Thwomp, and when the Thwomp comes up, we want him to be flattened along the track, just like that. And we want him to stay there for a few seconds after the Thwomp comes up, so you just see the completely flattened body of the kitty. And like I said, that would be the same kind of thing. It would actually functionally kill him, so that he could start spawning at the next, get ready to spawn at the next checkpoint. But it would make a duplicate of the cat, and then somebody could throw that squishing animation on him so that he'll be sitting there underneath the Thwomp, squished when the Thwomp comes back up. So, let's do the delayed death function. This function will create a duplicate player model for animating after death, and then destroy it when that same player respawns. So what do we need to do in this function? We need to create a duplicate player model. We need to run a cast in animation on that model, and then we need to destroy the model if the player model respawns. So, see what I mean about how this could be pretty simple? Like, what we'll do is we'll take this delayed death, and we'll have a thing here. We'll run it at the end, but we'll have a bool that gets passed into our handle obstacle collision thing here, and we'll just call it, it'll be bool delay death, and we'll set it default to false so that you don't have to use it, and you can pass this in now if you want. And we'll say if delay death, then run the delay death function. So nothing has to use this, but if you want something to use it, it can. And it's the actual code for it should be pretty simple because we already have code that kills the player and stuff, so we just need to make a copy of the player model. Oh, yes. Oh, Moobot. Moobot. Wishlist the game on Steam, everybody. The Thwomps are called Doug. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I forgot what you called them, so I hadn't said them. So it should be functionally pretty simple. Like, even though it sounds really complicated to, you know, create a system to allow the player's death to delay so that we can, like, play a cool animation on them of them getting squished or them getting blown out of the lava. It's actually simple because we already have all the code for half of that, and all we have to do is just duplicate the player model and play a new animation that will pass in here on the model, and then destroy it when the original model respawns. So let's tackle the easiest thing first. We're going to make a duplicate of the player model here. So for now, we're just going to instantiate them, I guess, is the best way to do it at the moment. So we're going to say superheroes eat avocados, Logan. Are you a superhero in disguise? That's awesome. Yeah, you set up Moobot? I've never heard of Moobot, actually. I've heard of, like, Nightbot, but not Moobot. You can name it, but I'm not sure if Alex named it Moobot or not. So we're only going to have one of these duplicates running at a time. So we're going to have it be up here. So it's going to be a game object. Player duplicate. And it's not going to be anything to start. And I guess maybe it should be public just in case. And we're also going to need a global bool that just says, and this one's going to need to be public for sure. That just says true player exists. And basically we're just going to trigger that whenever the true player exists. Wait, why doesn't it? Oh, right. It needs to be a bool. And then we're going to check against that to see whether or not to destroy this duplicate player. And we're going to set that to equal true by default. And we're also going to set a bool here. Duplicate player exists. And we're going to set that one to false. And we're going to come back down to our delay death function for the obstacle stuff here. And we're going to say if duplicate player does not exist, then we're going to create it. And we're also going to run the animation on it. I guess we should create a bool for that too. We can actually just piggyback it onto the bool that we already have here. So if the duplicate player doesn't exist, then we want to create them, and we want to play the animation on them. And if they already exist, and we're going to run this periodically, this function, so it's going to continue checking these things that we're putting in. If it already exists and the true player exists, then we're going to destroy the duplicate player. I think that should be good. We could do it as two separate functions too, which I'll probably end up doing, but for now we'll just keep it in here so it's easy to think about while we're coding it. Okay, so first thing we need to do is instantiate the duplicate player. So the player duplicate is equal to instantiate, and you should never instantiate, but this is how we're going to do it for now, just to make things easy. So we're going to instantiate a copy of the player model, and not the whole player. So what's the easiest way to get a reference to the player model? Let's see. We go over to our player controller here. They have a reference to it. They must, right? Player model right here. Public player model, model. Okay, we can do that. So we are going to instantiate a model, or wait, controller dot model. And we're going to instantiate it at the same spot as the player controller's existing model. And why doesn't it like that? Cannot implicitly convert type player model to Unity Engine. Okay. Oh, right. We need to make the game object. So whatever game object the model is attached to is what we actually need to pass. And I believe that the player model should have the animator on it, so that should be fine. But we're going to need to make sure that there is... Oh, the animator is... The reference to the animator is actually on the player controller. But we don't really want to spawn a duplicate player controller because that's going to come with all kinds of problems. So let's take a look at the player model here. What? That's not what I wanted to do. What the hell? I want to go to the definition. Oh, because there's a player model partial. I see. So, okay, good. The player model does have a reference to its animator, so we should be able to play the animation that way, so that's good. So what we're going to do is, now we're going to run the animation. So we're going to say player animation controller dot customize animations, item reaction animations, player input animations, player speed and direction animations. I guess we'll do item reactions, but maybe we should if we end up making these animations, we should go in and create a new thing called, obstacle reaction animations. But for now, we'll just piggyback it on item reaction animations. And just to test, we're going to throw in an already existing set of animations here. Now, what's the... So we need to do... The animator that we're trying to animate on is the player duplicate dot get component player model. So that's going to get our player model component off the duplicate that we just created. And we want the animation controller, which is called anim. So that's the animation controller we want to play this animation on. And what animation are we going to play? Let's see, what do we need here? We need an item and an item reaction type. So we're going to say item dot, let's see, check, enlarge, lasso, rocket, Roy, shield, shockwave. So for now, we'll just do the check. Wait, no, the check is directional, so we shouldn't do the check. What was it that I used before? I think the shockwave is just a simple one. He might be a superhero. Logan is a superhero, definitely. What's your superpower, Logan? If you were a superhero, what superpower would you want to have? And we're going to do the hit react animation on it. So like I said, eventually, these will have to be custom animations that we do if we decide to do this. But I just wanted to do this quick because, I was thinking of it while we were coming up with this other stuff here. And I feel like it's a good idea. And so this is literally all there is to it. We're just creating a duplicate of the player. We're playing a new animation on that duplicate. And then once the existing player respawns, so we're going to check if the true player exists, then we're just going to destroy the player duplicate. So destroy player duplicate dot game object, and that's it. That is our delayed death function. It's as simple as that. Now, I mean, the question is, will it work? But I'm pretty positive that it will, so I'm not really too worried about that. So what we want to do here, instead of setting the animation this way, is that we actually want to pass in either an animation or whatever this data will be, but we don't actually know that yet because it's going to be different. So for right now, we can just pass in, we can just keep it set to this, but we will put a comment in here to remind ourselves that we need to pass in a unique death animation such as squashing the character or flying off lava. And we'll end the comment. I forgot I started the comment wrong, but you can actually do an inline comment like this by doing, instead of doing, 2 forward slashes like that, you do a forward slash and a asterisk, and you can see that I can actually do an inline comment like that. So as soon as you do another asterisk and a forward slash, then it ends the comment. So it's as if, basically I made this comment, so it's as if this block of text doesn't exist at all. Functionally, the code will look at this and just see this. But for me, I've got a little comment in here to remind me to pass an animation in if we decide to add this. Chase power from Super Pups. Oh my god, yeah. Man, Mighty Pups? Super Pups? Which one is it? I thought it was Mighty Pups. I would definitely have, what's his name? I would have Rocky's power, because he can just, like, he's basically the Green Lantern. He can just, like, create whatever he wants out of thin air. Like, any tool, like a huge screwdriver or whatever he can create. You like Everest? She's all, yeah, I'm part of your team, but I live where I want, okay? Yeah, that's exactly what Everest is like. She's like, I'm gonna live in the mountains, and you guys just call me if you need me. I'm not gonna live in your dirty, dingy, Mighty Pups hideout. Smells like sweat. Some are part-timers, yeah. Tracker isn't Tracker like the Australian guy? He's like Crocodile Dundee, the whatever they're called, the Mighty Pup. Crocodile Dundee Mighty Pups. What do you think of my new camera, Logan? Chris got me a really nice new camera for my birthday, and it's like super high quality. Like if I get close, you can probably see all the details of my face. Oh, there's a poll? Why can't I vote in the poll? Added 1 new votes to the poll, 2 total. Get your vote in now. The votes are no, yes. Oh, it's from the last stream? That's so weird. Why can't I see the poll at the top of the screen? Oh, do you like polls? Yes or no? I usually like to do polls on my streams, but usually Fringe does them because she's like a mod on mine. So we got our delay death function now, and we've said if we're going to delay death, then delay death. So, so we need to set whether delay death is true or not. Actually, I just realized that delay death should not be... Wait, where did I put it? I thought that I made it a global thing. Where is it? Oh, right, we're passing it in here. Right. So we're not actually going to do that, I don't think. Pass it in the handle obstacle collision. Or wait, no, we are, I guess. We could also set it for specific obstacle types. Let's do that instead. Because we don't need to choose whether to delay death or not for every single obstacle that you throw the script on in the game. So we just need to make it local here. So bool, or wait, we could just put it in here. Bool delay death, and we'll set it to false by default. And then in these different obstacle types, so like one that we're going to want to probably delay death for is the Crusher. So we're going to say delay death is true. And what else? Lava, we said we want delay death to be true. So we'll put that in there. Obviously, we got to fill all these out with all the relevant information. And I think what I'm going to do is you can actually choose whether or not to curly brace your cases here. And since we have a lot of data in this switch, unlike the item one that we did last time, we're going to curly brace around everything here just to make it a little more readable. Hey, Death Priest, how's it going? Father, I crave seaweed, roasted seaweed. Nori. Interesting. How's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for stopping by. Uh-oh. It's Pixel Bob? Oh, shit. It's Bob Ross time. Goddamn. So we got our little switch statement here. We're checking for the object type here. And as you can see, we have a case for obstacle.rock here. And when we're hitting the happy little rock, he's just living in his happy little spot on the track. He's just minding his own business. And we're the little player. We're going to come along and smack into that poor fella. And so that poor fella, he's going to say that he wants to exert a force of 100 on the player. And he wants to play the checking hit clip as the animation, or as the sound effect when we hit that there happy little rock. And he wants to play the check effect for the visual effect from the visual effects graph from our happy little rock, and then we're going to break right out of that case of the little switch statement there. And then, as you can see, we're going to call our boop player function, and we're going to pass in that collision from our happy little rock with the temp force that he set. And then we're going to play our visual fun times function, and we're going to pass in our temp clip and our temp effects. Isn't that just the best? That rock, he's going to beat the devil right out of the player right there. That's his favorite part. And then we're going to play an animation. And then we're going to decide whether we want the delayed death function. Because as we know, folks, we want to delay our deaths. We don't want to die anytime soon. That'd be sad. And I don't want any of you wonderful viewers to die. I want y'all to live and join me in the joy of programming. Thanks, Alex. I think the camera is really nice, yeah. It's like a million times better than the camera I had before, for sure. And I haven't even set it up properly, because it's a Razer camera, so you can set it up in Razer Synapse and stuff. This is just like the raw camera feed, because I just got it today, so I just set it up quick for this stream. Well, I guess everybody's just doing their best around here. Okay, so now what I need to do is we need to create the actual script that's going to feed this data in. So it's a script that's going to sit on any obstacle in the game where you want it to do something specific. Basically, we're going to set this up so that every obstacle in the game will have a default thing that happens when a player smacks into it. But for any obstacle type in the game that you want a specific thing to happen, you'll be able to pop this script on it and tag it with whatever obstacle type it is. And I think we'll make the default reaction into what happens when you hit a rock, because there's more rock obstacles in the game than anything else. So then you won't have to throw scripts on all your different rocks and stuff like that. And what we can do is we can also create tags on the item types, as opposed to throwing the script on. So we can create tags, and we can come in here for these basic things that we created up here, this enum, where it's like an insta-kill object or a rock or a metal object, and we want different sounds and we want different sound effects and different visual effects to play based on whether it's rock that you're hitting or metal that you're hitting. What we can do is we can just create a rock tag and a metal tag, and we can just tag all those objects and have the default thing play out and select automatically which one, so that you don't have to put the script on your metal objects as opposed to the rock ones, which I think is what I will do. But for now, we're going to do it this way. So we need to create the accompanying script to go along with this. That's going to be attached. Come on, Unity. Let's go. Okay, so we need to create this script in the Bumper Stars script. And we've already got a script called Bumper Obstacle that I believe I was already setting up for this. Yeah, okay, this was the way I was going to do it originally. but we don't need this stuff anymore. So we're just going to take this stuff right out of here. The extra effect, bump player, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We don't need that anymore. So now we need a set of new data. So this bumper obstacle, you're going to place this on any obstacle that you want to do something specific, play a specific animation, insta-kill the player instead of, you know, all that stuff that we just spent the last hour and a half setting up. We need to put all that data in this script so that it can pass it in when the player runs into it. So the first I'm going to get rid of these for now because I don't know if we're going to need them. Probably not. But the first thing is that we're definitely going to need an on collision. Wait, do we? I guess the player already does the on collision part. So yeah, actually we don't need an on collision. We just need the data basically. We can just store all the data in here and then the player can check when it collides with something, it can look for this bumper obstacle with a try get component on the thing that it collided with. So we need all the data in here that we set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our player health system. We're going to drag it over here so that I can look up all the data that we need. And we're going to look at our handle obstacle collision function here. So what do we need right off the bat? We need a value of damage. So we'll store that as an int. And we'll set a default to 1. And we need our enums. So we're going to have obstacle, the obstacle enum, and we'll call it, again, OBS type. And we'll default that to obstacle.rock. And then we need our obstacle state. OBS state, we'll call it, is equal to obstacle state dot static, because by default it's going to be static ones. And we need these to be public also so that you can set them in the inspector. This is kind of similar to the test script for the items that we created in the last stream, where we had a test object and we wanted to be able to test all the different item reactions with the player running into it. So I created a test script that had all this information on it so that when the player ran into it, we could test our different item reactions, as opposed to hooking them all up directly to the items, which is what I'm working on now for that. That's why we're doing the obstacle stuff today. But, so this is very similar to that, but this will actually be used in the game. So what else do we need here? We got our obstacle types and everything. Okay, so that's all we need from there, from the handle obstacle collision function. And now what else do we need? We need to know... we're setting everything else in here, like the force, the sound effects, blah, blah, blah. So the one thing that we need to know... Let's see... I guess we don't. We just need to tag it correctly and it should be fine, right? Because we're already setting all that stuff by in here by code, and eventually I'll make that into like a scriptable object or something that you can change these values. But as opposed to storing them all on each obstacle where you have to come in and set it all, like, oh, I want this rock to exert 100 force, but I want this one to exert 50. That would be ridiculous. Like, ideally, you're not going to have to attach this script to any of the basic obstacles in the game. Like, you won't have to attach it to rocks anyway. You'll just be attaching them to special things, like if you want the crushers, the things that move back and forth in Asteroid Field, to do something different, then you can attach this script to it and set its obstacle type and stuff. Or your Dugs, the ground pounder guys. So... this is all that we need right now, I believe, because everything else is figured out based on those. So we just need the collision data, which we're already getting from the player colliding. And basically, if the player collides with... Hey, Straw Baby, how's it going? Are you getting ready for a stream tonight? It's going good. Oh, pretty good. That's good. Munching real quick. What are you going to be playing tonight? So then basically we're just going to come out into Unity. And we're going to wait for the asset database to refresh. And we're going to click on this rock here, because this is one of our obstacles. Remember, we're not working on items today. We're actually working on the obstacles, so it's totally different. And so if we want this obstacle here to have a unique reaction when the player hits it, then we need to add our bumper obstacle script. Boom. Now we have all this stuff that we can set. So if we want this rock to do more than 1 damage, we can set that. If we want it to be something else, so if we want this object to be a metal object, or we want this to act as lava or a crusher, or if we want this to instantly kill the player, we can also tag it with insta-kill. And then we can set whether it's static or moving as well, just in case you want to differentiate anything there. But I've made it all dynamic, so you don't actually have to set any of that stuff if you don't want to. Probably Dead by Daylight or Phasmophobia. Dead by Daylight's... Wait, which one is that? I always get confused. Oh, okay, I haven't actually played Dead by Daylight. I was thinking of Dying Light. That's the one. I always get Dead by Daylight and Dying Light confused. Yeah, if you play Dead by Daylight, I guess I'll be seeing it for the first time, because I've never seen it before. So, let's just try tagging this rock insta-kill and see if it works. Wah! Macaw! Oh no. The character spawning is broken. I hadn't even tested yet today. Damn it. Maybe I can still get it to work. Let's just not full screen here. I was not expecting that. I haven't updated though for a little bit, so that's possible too. But that's okay. I don't really need to test it at this very moment on stream. I'm not gonna like sit here and bore you guys with that. But let me just try quick here and see if we can get it to work without having to sync changes. That's so weird. It was working fine. Oh, wait a minute. No. I think it's my fault because I forgot to load the photon scene. Yes, okay. So I just need to come up here and load the photon scene. Okay, now it should work, I believe. I specifically didn't update because I didn't want it to be broken, but I never bothered testing it. Nice, it's working, I think. Oh, well, my player's invisible, though. Ah, it's still not working, damn it. Oh, well. I don't understand why, though, because I haven't updated this since my last stream, I don't think, so it should still be working, but yeah, it's still doing the same thing. Huh. That's so weird. Why it doing that? Come here, player. I want to run you into this rock. Or maybe I can just move the rock to you. Oh no, I can't move it because it's static. Where's my player? He's just running into this rock like a madman. Let's just smash him into this rock and see what happens. Yeah, it doesn't want to work. This is so weird. The bumper stars stuff isn't even working on it, so I don't know. It's busted. That's okay, though. I will update and test it later. Someone buttered up that rock. Yeah, he's just slipping and sliding all over it. Oh, wait, I actually forgot a step. That's why it's not working. We could quickly do this. So, right, what I need to do is when a player hits an obstacle, I need to check for this bumper obstacle and then pass this data in. So, handle obstacle collision. Here we go. Health system.handle obstacle collision. So, what we're going to do here, we're going to expand this if statement. Oh, Jesus. And we're going to check for the bumper obstacle. So we're going to say if collision dot object or dot game object dot try get component and we're gonna say out bumper obstacle, and we'll call it obstacle. So basically this is saying the object that the player collided with, if the game object that that collision is attached to has the bumper obstacle component, then give me the bumper obstacle component. If not, then we just want it to do what it's already doing. Just like that. So if it has it, oh wait, no, we need to pass in that new data, right? So if it has it, then we need to say health system.handle obstacle collision. We need to pass in our additional data here. So we're going to pass in obstacle, which is the one that we just got damage. And we're going to pass in obstacle, well, not that one. Obstacle dot, why does it keep doing that? Stupid. Dot, and where's our enums here? Dot obstacle type, and we're going to pass in our obstacle dot obstacle state as well. And now we've got all that information from the obstacle that it collided with. And then what we're going to do is in the else, we're going to say what I was talking about before. If it doesn't have this bumper obstacle script on it, then we're going to pass in, we're just going to leave it the way it is, because then it'll just take the default values for obstacle type and damage and everything, and that's fine, because it's exactly what we want it to do. Because we don't want it to act any differently than it was already acting if the object does not have that script on it. There's a lot of if-then. It's not all if-then, though. There's a lot more to it, but that is a big portion of it, yes. So then in the player health system, if we tag something as kill player, it will bring in this data. And if not, it will just set it all to these default values. So the default is a damage of 1, the default type is rock, and the default state is static. So as long as we have all our stuff set up nicely for default type, then what we already had should work just fine. And the new stuff will do whatever we want it to, basically. And I'll go in here quickly and just show you how to make a tag because we're going to be doing that that's part of what we were talking about. So before I sign off here, so every obstacle in the game. Well, actually, I guess let's test and see if it works. We're still going to have to like drag our player into it, but we can still see if it works. So we'll spawn in our player. It may not work because of this stuff being busted, but I don't know why it's broken, seriously. I don't understand why. Okay, so we need our player controller. Drag him over here and smash him into our kill rock. Yeah, it's still not going to work anyway, but I'll get it fixed and test it. Yeah, so if you want to tag an object, so what we're going to want to do is set these to tags instead of passing it in all the time from a script, so that you don't have to put this bumper obstacle script onto stuff. But let's say, see this guy here? He's already on a layer called kill, but he's got a tag called player death. And anything tagged that with player death, if bumper stars mode is turned on, players will bounce off those objects and do all the stuff that we already set them up to do. And you can see we have a lot of tags. There's a tag for saw death, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what that tag does yet. But yeah, we'll create tags in here. Mine death. Gate death. So there's already some unique ones in here. Oh, I think some of them are from Lost Orbit, though. Shit, that's true. So you can just come in here and you can add a tag. And then when you tag that object, you can call that tag in code and say, okay, if the thing I collided with has this particular tag, then do something. Do this, or this different thing. So unfortunately, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to test and show you guys that stuff that we got done today. But basically, we have the ability to pass in all kinds of different values and different animations and different effects and everything for the different types of obstacles that the player can run into. So we differentiated the items last time, and now I have a bunch of different functions to do different fun things with items, and now we have the ability to do that and more with our delayed death and playing unique animations and all that stuff for obstacles as well. So, you know, hopefully in the future then we'll be able to do things like, if you watch the trailer and you see the pig run into the rock, you'll see that it plays like a little particle effect of pieces of rock flying off. We want to do stuff like that and all that stuff with the obstacles, so that'll be fun. So yeah, I look forward to showing you guys some more soon. And this stuff should be in the game while we're testing. Probably not tomorrow, I don't think, because I have to hook up all the item stuff, but maybe. I'll be working on it tonight, so I'll see if I can get it ready. So hopefully we could show it off tomorrow, and if not, then I can show all the stuff off to you guys next time anyway. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out and listening to me babble and babble on about programming and draw stupid pictures. That's the funnest part, drawing these ridiculous pictures here. I'm sure, like the funnest part to watch anyway, I'm sure. We got our little flattened kitty, and our kitty doing them with his bum on fire, flying out of the lava. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, you should check out Rocket Rumble. You can check out the website, rocketrumblegame.com, or you can find the game on Steam. You can wishlist it. We'll be having an open beta soon that you guys will be able to sign up for soon. And if you already signed up for the closed beta, then I believe we will be giving you automatic access to the open beta. So look forward to that. And obviously it's an open beta, so anybody that signs up will be getting access. And yeah, so we're kind of ramping up to that now. And if you want to follow me and see the stuff that I do on my own, just playing games, hanging out and having fun and stuff, 5 nights a week, I do over on twitch.tv/markgamedev. You can see it along the bottom of my screen there. Certainly check me out and throw me a follow, and follow us here at Pixelnauts as well. We've got lots of fun things planned, and lots more fun stuff coming up. We're doing a gameplay test tomorrow, I believe at 3 o'clock, so yeah, look out for that. Hope to see you guys there. and that'll be all of us on here streaming, like we usually do with like 5. We pick different 5 people every time when we come on and stream and have fun while we test the game. So yeah, look forward to that, guys, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys soon, or see you over on one of my streams as well. That would be great. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope I didn't melt your brains too much with my ridiculous programming speak. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!
By